Let's take a look at the top story that we're tracking for you. In a big blow to Russia, the EU relations, Russia Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov has said that Moscow is ready to sever ties with the European Union if the bloc hits Russia with painful economic sanctions.
We assume that we are ready to sever ties in case we see again, as we have felt more already, that the sanctions that create risks for our economy are imposed in the most vulnerable areas. Yes, once again, we don't want to isolate ourselves from the world, but we need to be ready for that. If you want peace, prepare for war.
Echoing the foreign minister's statement, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov has said that Russia wants to develop ties with the European Union, but if the EU goes ahead with imposing sanctions, then Russia will be prepared.
We want to develop relations with the European Union. But if the European Union follows this way, then we would be ready. One has to be prepared for the worst. This is what the minister was talking about. We have to be ready for some restrictions and unfriendly moves. We need to be self-reliant. We have to secure our safety in the most sensitive strategic areas and be ready to replace everything we could be deprived of with national infrastructure.
Relations between Russia and the European Union recently came under extraordinary pressure. Navalny's imprisonment has heightened tensions between the two powers. The European bloc has condemned Navalny's arrest and called Russian actions merciless.
The Russian government is going down a worrisome authoritarian route. The space for civil society, freedom of expression continues to narrow, and there seems to be almost no room for development of democratic alternatives. The Russian authorities have shown in the Navalny case that they are merciless in stifling any such attempts.
Last week, EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell had visited Moscow to plead for the release of Alexei Navalny. After the visit, Borrell said that Russia might be looking at possible new sanctions and that the trip cemented his view that Russia wanted to break away from Europe and divide the West.
And it will be for the member states to decide the next step, but yes, this could include sanctions. And I will put forward concrete proposals using the right of initiative that the High Representative has.
After the top diplomat's statement on Thursday, EU diplomats said that the bloc was likely to impose travel bans and asset freezes on allies of Russian President Vladimir Putin, and that they will probably act on this in this month. Now, France and Germany have already signaled their willingness to move ahead with the sanctions.
Sanctions must target the right ones, and in this case, those are the ones who are responsible for the repressive actions of the state power against their own citizens and not workers of almost 150 European companies, most of them from Germany.
The tensions between the two powers rose to new heights last week. Russia infuriated the European bloc by expelling Germany, Poland and Swedish diplomats without informing the EU foreign policy chief, and in retaliation, Germany, Sweden and Poland have ordered the removal of a Russian diplomat each. Earlier today, we were joined by our correspondent Stuart Smith. Listening to this report.
If it were to happen, then it's most likely focused on leaders and important officials as opposed to businesses. However, we have heard calls, especially from the European Parliament, that Nord Stream 2, a pipeline between Russia and the European Union, should be scrapped in response to this latest round of accusations about human rights violations. So although, as things stand, it seems that the member states, Germany and France particularly, want to focus on the Russian top officials, it could be the case that the Nord Stream 2 pipeline is brought into this as as well. The pipeline is something the Americans are very keen is scrapped already. The European Union has no standard position on it. However, Germany in particular is very keen the Nord Stream 2 pipeline goes ahead and has said in the past that this is a separate issue to the human rights violations which Russia is accused of. However, it could be the case that Nord Stream 2 is brought into this. Russia, of course, very keen that this pipeline goes ahead, as it would provide a way of avoiding Ukraine as a way to get oil from Russia to the European Union. Well, for a start, this is the currently most likely way Alexei Navalny's supporters say Navalny could be freed from detention. They called off protests last week, saying that we will resume on-the-street mass protest in spring and summer. For now, they're looking at international pressure as a way of releasing Alexei Navalny from prison, and then protests later in the year will be what they try and use to change the political system, which is really the bigger issue here for most of Alexei Navalny's supporters. It'll be protests designed for the political system, international pressure to try and free Alexei Navalny.